Session of the City Council. Tonight's working session will be on the fiscal year 2020-2021 city budget. As everyone can see by the agenda this evening, we are going to cover Eastport Marina, Public Works, City Clerk, Accounts and Finance, East Side Center and Tourism, Fire and ESDA, Police, Planning and Community Development to include buildings, maintenance, and inspections. So tonight the focus will be on the operating side of the budget. 2 weeks from now we have another meeting scheduled on the 25th, or we'll have a special meeting scheduled, a working session to cover the capital side. So a lot of work went into this. Before we turn it over to Ron, I would like to thank all the elected officials and all the department heads that have worked pretty hard here the last few weeks to get us to this point as we go through the operating budget. I think we still have a little bit of work to do. Hopefully we have some fruitful discussions tonight, and we can refine some additional numbers before the capital budget in 2 weeks. No formal business will be conducted. Will be an open discussion. Department heads will present their budget as we have it here in this form this evening, and then we'll have some additional comments and discussion. So with that being said, first up, Eastport Marina, Mr. Roberts.
Sorry, I apologize. I have a little bit of a cold, so I'm a little hard to understand. So I've actually got a handout to each of you up there you can kind of review. I actually did put the previous couple years on there too. It's kind of neat to look and see the rise and the fall. One of the issues that we've always had with Eastport, the fiscal year end being April 31st, it's kind of hard to gauge our income and expenses, especially the income side. So like last year, our numbers looked tremendous, 827. That looked like a great year as opposed to the previous year, but actually it kind of averages out. So the year before we had a late spring. We had July 4th was really when we started boating. So a lot of that income comes in after that fiscal year starts. So if you kind of look at a cycle, if you put this on a chart, it's kind of averaging out. So I've always kind of been interested in if we could do a fiscal year January 1 to January 1. It'd really give us a better picture of what a marina does. But as you see, the numbers are pretty flat. We've benefited. Several marinas locally have had some issues. They've closed. Detweiler Marina is closed down. So we've benefited from that. That's not really the way I want to benefit, but we have picked up some customers from that. One of the things I think we've really benefited from is putting money back into the marina. So we don't let it sit stale. We're constantly remodeling and infusing the profit that we make back into the facilities, and customers see that. One of the big projects we're looking at doing this year is a seawall. So we have a fairly large insurance claim that we got pushed through, and we are replacing the entire seawall around the marina. So that helps a lot, and people see those changes. Something we did last winter is we remodeled the men's bathroom, and people see that. So if you're a yacht club member, you come in and you see that there's updates being had, there's new things happening. So a couple large changes that we had for this year. I've got ITV3 coming in and providing a good solid 1 gig internet stream. That doesn't sound like much if you're not there. But being a boating community, a lot of these folks actually stay on the boats through the weekends, and they've all got their Netflix and their iPads and everything going. So previously, Comcast can only provide us about 150, 160 meg or so, which sounds like a lot, but you divide that amongst 385 slips, that goes away fairly quickly. So ITV3 actually was required to get a line down to the marina anyway in the near future because we have a lift station there. So I kind of sped up their process a little bit and put that 1 gig line in. So that'll be much appreciated. We'll have a solid 1 gig stream of internet down there that will help us tremendously. One of the next big changes, and it's kind of open here, we did take over the service department in July of this year. That was something that kind of got dropped on me. There's been 2 people who have leased that service department over the years, and there's been little issues with each. The biggest, they both sold new boats, so it was hard to get service for my customers there at the marina, which can be frustrating. I've got customers with boats and slips that need service, and they've always kind of been pushed to the back a little bit. So when the gentleman leasing service left, I decided we were just going to go ahead and take that over on our own. That way I could have a little bit more control over it. Quality control, my slip renters call and they want service. I go right to my mechanic and go, look, get down there and get this fixed. So the quality control on that's been a lot better, and people are a lot happier. So Overall, surprisingly, looking at numbers, even getting that business started, so buying some tools and some capital startup, since mid-July of this year, we've made about $90,000 in gross. Now, by the time you take the expenses away from that, we're going to net some around 25 to 30 before we even get to the year end here. So I'm pretty excited. That's a new income stream for the marina, for capital projects and things in the future. So it gives us better control, and it's also another income stream. So I'm pretty happy with that. Any questions from anybody?
Real quick, Ron, you said you had an insurance claim that replaced the seawall?
Yeah, it took about a year to get everything documented and through. It was a fairly large claim, so we had a heck of a windstorm. I guess it would be this time, December of last year, that came through and really did a number on the break wall. So we did quite a bit of documentation and worked with the city's insurance company, and we got an insurance claim approved and put through. So we'll have a new break wall. It's actually, the shipments are already coming in, and it should be installed sometime late March, early April, but that all kind of that revolves around the weather.
If I remember correctly, that's a pretty large expense.
Yes. Yep.
Commissioners, any questions?
Just one other question. On the income where under your pool, is that the pool memberships that people purchase?
Yes, sir. So there's a mix. So I want to say my office manager puts in a certain percentage of that from the actual boaters too. So what we do is we take out the slip rent from the yacht club portion, we put a portion of that in, and then outside memberships too.
Okay, thanks.
So the pool is actually fairly profitable when you look at it. It's a great asset to have.
It is. We're members down there and go,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's nice.
Have you liked it?
We do. Well,
Good.
my wife does. I don't go as often as she does.
I was going to
but
say, honestly, I'm up there a lot and I haven't seen you up there. So.
It's but it is a nice thing for our community to have. So
Yeah.
I guess I have a small question here. If I'm reading this right, you guys are pretty much self-sufficient then?
Correct, yes, sir. So I operate off the revenue that I take from slip renters. So we take all the revenue in and we base that budget off the revenue that's in. So I don't operate out of the general fund in any way, shape, or form.
I like you.
It's enterprise fund.
Yeah, it's an enterprise fund. He doesn't have a choice, but that's all
I can't
right.
spend it, so.
I've got one question if you're done, Commissioner Sutherland.
I'm done.
I might have missed it, the revenue from labor, because goose eggs before and now you've got something projected.
So there's a couple different items there. So labor, that's just strictly working on boats. So one of the things I wanted to do is service. Winterization is a large portion of that, and I'm trying to kind of separate things out so I can get a better picture of it. So labor is just strictly, say somebody calls up and needs a water pump changed, they've got an anchor that they need replaced, that's just that. Winterizing is winterization, so at the end of the season, we'll take your boat, we winterize it, we drain the engines, change the oil. So that lets me separate those out and see how much winterization I'm doing versus how much just everyday call-in labor.
Okay, thank you.
Had you just not done that in the past?
Well, we've always leased that out, and it's always been, like I say, a frustrating